regulations from the EU, which definitely added another layer of complexity in terms of user experience. Um, but we've been focused so hard on how people interact with these models to solve problems in fresh and in innovative ways. Um, but we were missing a crucial piece, which I can see in hindsight. Um, we were mostly focused on the interface, right? How people would use the models. But we weren't digging into the core of the models themselves. And this core holds a key piece to a truly user-friendly and responsible future as well. And now I want to give this insights into what I see happening within the design space for the future in designing these AI systems. All right, no worries. All right, I'll eat the microphone. Yeah, I was saying that we were missing a crucial piece because we were mostly focused on creating the interface and the way that we interact with this AI system. But we were actually not looking enough at the models themselves, how they would behave basically. And this actually holds, according to me, holds a key piece to a truly user-friendly and responsible future. So I want to dive into that a little bit deeper. It was not just me who saw this shift. I came across an article by Paz Perez on Medium, and she talks about a new role that I think will be crucial for us in the future, which is the model designer. And unlike traditional UX designers, these types of specialists will work closely with the core AI models and not just the interfaces. And the model designer role, which is not like this type of model, but this type of model, will reduce issues like bias and hallucinations, right? Or at least we can try to. We will collaborate more efficiently with engineers more closely. And prompting is going to be a big part of it because it can be challenging for users to define a certain prompt and get a certain result from a large language model, right? So it's up to designers to create these smarter default prompts or preambles or even fine-tuned data sets to reduce the user's effort and improve the user experience. For instance, a model designer might work on crafting specific prompts that guide the model's behavior, while UX designers can focus on the user-facing aspects, such as making the interaction intuitive and engaging. Just by working together, they can ensure that the AI not only performs well, but also delivers this positive user experience. And this kind of deep collaboration is what will set apart successful AI products from those that fall short. Model designer will require some basic technical knowledge, but to be honest, every designer kind of needs that. But instead of having a basic understanding of how HTML works or CSS works or how we can pull data into a front end or which data is available, model designers will need a basic understanding of how RAGs work, retrieval augmented generation, how we can look up data in certain data sets, how we set up the data in a way that can be efficiently translated to what we call space in order to for an LLM to understand it best. We will also need to learn prompting. There are a lot of different techniques like zero-shot prompting, chain-of-thought prompting, three-of-thought, few-shot prompting, and each of these techniques, they come up with certain scenarios. We will also have to have a basic knowledge of Python to manage your prompts, for example, in this templating language called Jinja 2. I'm not sure why it's called Jinja 2, but it's a way to manage your prompts as well in Python. Going deeper into this is a whole new talk. But if you're interested in knowing more, I suggest you take a picture of this if you haven't already, so you can dive into it at home by Googling all these keywords. Cool. That was the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. I did gather some useful information that I talked about in my talk on a Notion page, so feel free to scan the QR code. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to talk to me later. But I first have a request. I want to take a Be Real because I want to show my mom that I spoke to all these people. So if you all want to pose real quick, put your hands in the air or something like that. 3, 2, 1. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you very much, Inti. It was an amazing talk. There's not enough people who are talking about this, so thank you very much. I want to ask you, do you have any questions left for Inti? Any burning thoughts on your mind? Yes.
I've been hiding the bush, but I'm here. I find it interesting that you said, well, at first you were working mostly on the interface and part of things, and then you found out, well, we should maybe work more on the model design. And I probably agree. I mean, I don't know that much about it, but there's a hunch I have that the chatbot interface still won't be the final interface for most solutions, because it's a wide canvas, and I think it's still pretty difficult to use in a lot of situations. Is there at KBC or in general, as you have been working on this, a vision or a thought experiment about the interfaces of the future using AI, that maybe using more traditional elements with those LLMs together to guide users better or whatever? Is there anything happening in that regards on the interface level?
Yes, we do bump into the limitations, definitely, of our interface of Kate. So, of course, we are looking into what Kate could look like in the future or behave like in the future. And yeah, we're still exploring all the different possibilities on how we can integrate this new AI technology, like the LLMs, in our processes, and especially customer facing. But we're still learning, like everyone else is. But yeah, we did notice that we bump into our current interface limitations. If that answers your question, I'm not sure. I hope no more chat bubbles. That's where I hope we will go. But of course, Kate is an assistant, and we still do believe in the whole conversational aspect of it. So, yeah.
Any more questions? Yes. Let's see who was first. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So for junior designers, would you recommend to learn more about coding and Python to stay more relevant in the market? As now there's a lot of senior positions available in the market, but not so much for juniors. And what I've read about that the UX engineer is the new emerging role. And like, what's your take on it? And if so, what resources would you recommend?
I wouldn't recommend by starting with learning Python. You will learn that as you will go. I feel like what will become very important is the prompting, especially if you want to dive into creating these models. Prompting is going to be a big part of it. Try to do some research on For example, each time you send like a chat to ChatGPT, what the whole prompt behind that is. It's like 70 pages that they're sending along with your one-liner in ChatGPT that they're sending along to the large language model. So prompting is going to be very important in the future to guide these models. So I would definitely focus on that if you want to go further in that space and not go to Python in this early stage because that is more advanced. Just start at the beginning, which is prompting, and then you can move over to Python. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I saw there was someone there. Yes.
So you talked about the challenges with conversational design, the tree structure, analyzing the input, and having limited output. And now we are changing to the model of large language models. You started off with using large language models to interpret the input and still keep the output from the conversational design. And I'm wondering, like, is there any risk or maybe salvation in using the large language model to actually increase the tree structure of your conversational design? And like having those two work together, like, is there any risk involved there or maybe some salvation? And I'm mostly asking this question because I'm working for a government agency and we are required to have an answer to any question. Why are you recommending this to me? Why are you giving me this feedback? And so we really need to know from A to Z how any decision is made, even in an AI configuration.
Where to start? I think it all starts with what the user is asking and understanding what their intention is. What are they actually looking for, or what are they trying to do? So that is what those traditional chatbots are still very good at, and maintaining, like, if you want to guide them to certain aspects, I think that traditional approach is still quite useful. But if you have like these, you also have like these vast amounts of data probably at the government of all these types of questions, which is very hard because if you are going to translate that or index that, it might start mixing things up and start just wrong answers. And that is something that is very challenging as well. We are struggling with it as well. So we want to like scope down first and try to identify the most asked questions and try to focus on that. And then based by using intent and entity structures, we can try to narrow down and guide the LLM to focus on specific topics and very specific questions. But it's something that we're struggling with as well. Especially also in a startup that I'm involved with, we're struggling with that same problem. So yeah, I'm not able to really give an answer to it at this moment.
Maybe one last question from the break. There was someone there. Yes.
Hey. So you talked about conversational design, and so when the more conversational a chat gets, the more human-like it gets, the more convincing it is, and this is the way I see it, the greater the risk of when it gets something wrong, when a biased answer happens, and so forth. So do you see this as a risk? And if so, how do you deal with this? That was it.
Yeah, that's one of the core principles of the cooperative principle. So we have quality, which is all about truthfulness. It's very important to provide this truth, the true information. And like the large language models, it's very hard to control what their output is. So yes, it's definitely a risk, not just in terms of user experience, but also, for example, at KBC, it's a huge risk if we start giving them wrong directions or maybe even advice that's just a big no-no. So what we're doing right now is we're focusing on all the informative questions. So for example, what does it's me do, or how do I install it? It's just a very specific task that's been very well documented on our website as well. So we try to scope it down to just the informative questions and not really like advice or these other types. So yeah, it's very important to take into account again what is the intent of the user, what does the user want to achieve, and whether or not having a large language model generating an answer for it, how big is it? And of course, at KBC we have these whole departments who help us with it. These whole legal departments. But yeah, it's definitely a risk in terms of Google, in terms of user experience, but also in compliance.
All right. So that brings us to our break. So Inti, thank you so much for your presentation. You deserve this as a token of our work. So now there's 30 minutes. You can have a drink where you can talk it a little bit over. If you have any more questions for Inti, you can always chat them up. And we'll see you back at 8:05. Thank you.